Hello mates, this is The Unemployed Geek. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to talk about Dockers. So without wasting more time, let's get into the introduction. So what is a Docker? This is a platform which allows us to automate the deployment of an application inside a lightweight and portable containers which can be run platform independently. They actually contains the packages, the files and the dependencies as a package inside this, along with the libraries related to that application which I have containerized, so that that application can be run on any platform, means anyways, across the team and the stakeholders who are involved in that project or that product. So now let's understand why Dockers. The first point I have already covered in the introduction part, that it can run platform independently, so that it could optimize or it could enhance the development process. And second is, it can work like a virtual machines. But in case of virtual machine, you must going to have an OS over an OS, and you have to allocate your memory for that OS. So if you want to run multiple applications in a platform, then you must have to define or allocate memories for every application inside every OS. So that means if that application don't need that much of memory and you have allocated that memory, that means it would be a waste. But here Dockers solves that problem by using only that much of memory what it needs inside a single kernel or a single platform. You can run multiple Dockers, multiple Docker containers. So there are some certain steps to do that. So first is creating the image, second is making the containers from those images, and then ship that containers for development. So now let's start with downloading and installing the Dockers. So let's open this link, and I will put all the links I am going to use today in the description, so you could check them and you could use them. So as you can see, here are the list of the platforms which are supported by the Docker. So if you have Windows machine, you could go with this option and you could download the installation file according to your system architecture. For Mac, this one will work, and again you have to download the installer according to your system architecture, but I will go with Ubuntu. So let me check my system architecture, uname-m, and that is AMD64. And as you can see, Docker is giving support for this many versions of Ubuntu. So let's go forward and let's uninstall the older versions if any is installed inside your system. So I'm going to copy this thing. So I have not installed any Docker versions earlier, so it has giving me this kind of messages. So now let's move forward and install the Docker services. So if you want to install it from the source list of apt repository, then you have to add the Docker repositories into the source list by the steps written here in this block actually. But I'm going to install Docker services from the Debian packages, so I will follow this block of instructions. So let me open the link mentioned over here and let me download the Debian packages. Let me select my Ubuntu version. It is Noble from this list. Then pool, then stable, and my architecture, which is AMD64. Then let me download all the latest version from this list. So as you can see, I have downloaded Container.io, Docker CE, Docker CE CLI, Docker BuildX plugins, and Docker Compose plugins. Now let's install them. So I will install them by using dpkg because they are the Debian packages. So let's do it. Sudo dpkg-i and the package names one by one. Let me put them. And hit enter. It will take some time. Now it's installed. Now let's start the Docker services and run this test. So it is pulling the image first, and here's the output, hello from Docker. That means everything is fine and working well. Now if I run Docker commands without sudo, it will throw me permission denial error. So now we have to create a Docker group so that we could use Docker commands as non-root as well. Let's add the user to that Docker group. Now let's apply these changes by new grp docker for the current session. Else you can log out and log in again, then the changes will reflect. Now let's try running the Docker command without sudo. So as you can see, all are running perfectly. Now let me install PgAdmin4 as I'm going to use Postgresql inside a Docker container, and I'm going to access that DB inside the container from the PgAdmin4. So let's install PgAdmin4 first. So let's open the link first, and as you can see here, you can choose your favorable OS or your favorable platform. So for Windows, you could download from this list, and I'm going to use apt. So PgAdmin4 is giving support for this many Ubuntu versions. So then let's follow the instruction given here to install it from the apt package manager. So first let me add the public key. And then I will add the repository to the source list. So let me copy this so that I could add the public key. So for me curl is not there, so let me install curl first. apt get install curl. So it is done. Now let me add them. Enter. Then let me copy this line so that I could add the repository in my source list of apt. Enter. So now a repository is added in my source list, and let's update it. And updated as well. If you want to install desktop mode and web mode, then you could go with apt install PgAdmin4, but I want to install only desktop mode, so I will copy this command and I will paste it over here and enter. So it will take some time. So now installation is done. So now let's check. In my application manager, if PgAdmin4 is reflecting or not. So here, as you can see, my PgAdmin4 is reflecting in my application manager. So now let's remove the image first, but it is giving me an error because stopped container is there, so I have to remove that stopped container first. So there are two containers which are stopped right now. So let me remove them one by one. Now they are removed. So now I can perform remove image. That's it. So Docker images, now you can see no images are there. So now let me create a Docker file for PostgreSQL. Touch Docker file and let's open this file inside Visual Studio Code. HDD drive, my work, projects, Docker PgSQL, and open this Docker file. So I'm going to use a particular version of Postgres, which is 15.8. Then environment variables, expose port, and CMD, or the entry point of the Docker. Now let's build the image first. Docker build -t and image name and current directory. So I have received an error. Okay, so I have to remove this equal to sign here from here, and let's run it. So it will take some time. So now, as you can see, it is done with creating the image. So let me check it. Docker images. Now here you can see image name is Postgresql DB, which I have created just now. So let's run that Docker image as a container. Docker run -d detach mode --name and container name, which I want to give. And expose port and environment variables. And the image name. So that's it. It has ran the Docker container successfully. Let me check once. Docker ps, and you can see it is running. Let's log inside the DB. Docker exec -it and container id and bash. It will take me inside the container, and then let's get inside the DB. PSQL -user -db. It will give me the PSQL console. Let's list out the databases over here. So this many databases are there inside this DB. So let me check if any table is there. No table is there inside this test DB. So let me create one, and let's name it test table. So table is created. So now open PgAdmin so that we could check if this table is created properly inside that Docker container, and we could see them. And if we could connect with that Docker container from PgAdmin. Add new server. Let's give it a name and go to the connection tab and give it the host name, which is localhost, and port is 5432, and maintenance database will be testdb, which I have mentioned over there, and username will be test user, and password will be that password which I have given there, and save. Once you have saved, it will open your server, get inside the database, testdb, schemas, then tables. So as you can see, test table is here and it is reflecting. That means it is connecting to that same DB which I have inside the container. Okay, so let's use the query tool to create more tables and more operations which we could perform in PGSQL. So let's create another table and name it my table. So as you can see, this my table is also reflecting here, and if I log into the PostgreSQL console, I can see that my table is also visible here. So now let's insert one row inside that table. Okay, I got an error because I have not given the column names for this particular values. So let me declare the column names here. Now it has inserted that row. So let's check it. Select start from my table, and as you can see, that row is reflecting here as well. So that's all for today, and we will come back again with next topic, next video. And if you find this video is informative and helpful, you can definitely like, share and support us. So till then, bye bye.